Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Thursday, December the 2nd, and like every Thursday, I'm joined by Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com, one of the finest handicappers in the country today. And Doug, it's getting awful cold here in Western New York, and I know you're going to have some inspiring words for me about the weather in Arizona.
Oh, well, I'm glad you brought that up, to be perfectly honest, Russ, because as I was getting ready and preparing for this, I was thinking, should I tell Ross what it's really like here right now? And I thought him and everybody else in the East, upper Midwest and all that stuff, they don't really want to hear what's going on here.
I do.
But yeah. Ross, you asked, so I'm going to deliver.
Okay? Right.
Yesterday was a record high. 86 degrees. Okay. Today might be a record high. Saturday might be a record high. So basically it's been in the 80s basically all week, it is highly unusual because most of these records go back 30, 40, 50 years. Normally, to be perfectly honest, the normal high here is 69. Now I know nobody's going to feel sorry for me that it's 69. Okay. I get that, but it is crazy how warm it is here. Now, it's not that warm in the morning, obviously, but it's been that warm. And so literally every day about this time, or maybe an hour earlier, we open up our house because it's so nice out.
Yeah. Well, I gained one thing from that. If all else fails as a handicapper, you could always become a meteorologist in Arizona. You do a fine job.
Next life, it's happening. I can guarantee you. I won't know it, but I'm telling you, it's happening.
I mean, the next life, you don't want to be a better handicapper than you already are. You want to be a meteorologist, huh?
So, no, I actually would like to be a meteorologist, to be perfectly honest. It's not a calling, but I've always been interested in weather. But
I'm glad you're setting such high aspirations for yourself.
In another life.
Yeah. In any event, this is our NFL betting edition. This is not a weather report. So I don't know where we got onto that. I'm sorry I asked that question. Anyway, Doug, the home teams continue to struggle in the NFL this year at a record pace. You had some interesting statistics we discussed off air in that particular regard. So why don't you share it with the audience?
Yeah, so far this year, Ross, home teams are 77, 101, and 1 against the spread, and that is the lowest percentage to this point since the Super Bowl era, which started in 1966. So when you think about that, that's pretty amazing. Now, of course, that begs the question as to why. And, like before we were wondering, or we talked about briefly, last year with, when the COVID was at its peak, if you will, and, most teams didn't have fans in the stands, or if they had any, it was a very low number that would have no impact on the game. It made sense why teams didn't have their quote unquote typical home field advantage of, let's just say, -3. But this year, that doesn't hold water. And I honestly don't have an explanation. So if anybody wants to chime in and comment with your thoughts on it, Ross and I certainly welcome that. But it just doesn't make sense. And or is it the fact that maybe -3 is no longer the number? There are guys out there who believe that has not been true for a while. It's actually been like 2.5 for a while. I didn't buy into it, but we'll see going into next year. Maybe I'll become a believer. What about you, Russ?
Yeah, I'm still going to adhere to that -3. And what you're talking about with that -3 is the fact that, and I want to clarify this for the audience in case they're not fully grasping what Doug says. Usually,
that's not untypical, by the way. A lot of people don't grasp what I say.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, you're a meteorologist, so what would you expect? Anyway, there's a power number attached to each team that the odds makers use on a weekly basis in the NFL. And what they normally do, and what the school of thought has been throughout the years, is whatever that power number is, the difference, you add 3 additional points to the home team for their home field edge. Now, I'm of the opinion that sometimes that number needs to be less and sometimes it needs to be more, depending on how strong a home field that particular team has established, maybe over a 5-year period of time. Okay, so a team like Baltimore at home is going to have a stronger home field advantage than who could I compare that to? The New York
Jets.
Yeah, or Giants.
Either one.
So yeah, that's what we're referring to. I would warn the audience this. Look, sometimes these kind of things happen for no rhyme or reason, like Doug was alluding to. This is one of those cases, in my opinion. Yes, last year I could attribute it to the fact there was no emotion in the home crowd. The opposing quarterbacks didn't have to deal with crowd noise, were able to audible quite clearly and easily at the line of scrimmage, where it's not that way in most road environments when there's fans in the stands. So, there's a couple different ways to look at it, Doug. I will say too is if you look at road favorites of 7 or less this year, not only just road teams doing 101 and 77, road favorites of 7 or less are well over 60%, which again, you're always looking for value on a home underdog. And if that's your school of thought, you're not having a very good year.
No.
So you need to adjust. Now, again, Doug, I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on this. I think too often you get people to get a little bit lazy when they see a number come out like this over a period of time. Okay. This isn't a 5-year period. This is a 1-year window right now where this is happening with fans in the stands. Let me preface that. And what people tend to do is say, well, I'm just going to go with all the road teams, or I'm going to go with the road teams with winning records. Why even bother to look any further? And that's the surest way to fail. I just want to know your thoughts on that as well, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, Ross, with what you're saying, I'm in complete agreement. I mean, this is a topic of discussion. Okay, it's not fact-based. It's fact-based. Those are the numbers, but it's not fact-based in terms of that's going to be the exact outcome all the time. And we're still talking about a relatively lower percentage. Okay, just overall, it's certainly unusual, and obviously we're going back, 50 plus years for this to have occurred. But it doesn't mean that you just blindly play these types of situations, because that's the easiest way to just give away your money, so from that standpoint. So yeah, I mean, like all this stuff that we do, Ross, okay, there are so many things that are interesting that come up that are food for thought. Some of them offer more value than others. Okay. And, and especially, like with your database that you have, and all the, what you create all those systems. And I have, a much smaller one and a little bit different, but in either case, they're always interesting topics for discussion, and they're more over time. This is we're 12 weeks into a season. So we still got 5 weeks to go, for this particular year. I think there's a 5 or 6, I forget now that I think with the extra week, but so we still have some space to go here. That could change. Okay. But right now that's where it's at. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to take a longer view, but in today's world, longer views aren't necessarily how people think.
No, they want instantaneous results right now. And that takes me to this. I would be awful careful with this in live betting, folks. I could tell you it's the surest way to fail. And now I'm sure somebody will chime in and say they've made all kinds of money in live betting. And if you have, God bless you. Congratulations. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, for the most part, you're in the less than 1% minority that is making money, because what the sports books are doing here is they're preying on impulsive and addictive behaviors of sports bettors sometimes. Okay. Not to say all of you are addictive or have a problem or whatever, but it's the same concept as chasing. Okay. You lose a game and you're doubling up to get the money back. They love you when you do that. Okay. Money management's a big deal. You have to have a strict money management in place. to succeed. And the same goes with this live sports betting. Stay away from it, folks. Why are you using live sports betting? Okay. You know why? Because some people, and if I'm insulting you, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to give you food for thought and good advice. Some people just can't wait 3 hours for a result. It's as simple as that. And the books know that and they take advantage of it. So in any event, Doug, we are going to give you some free picks in the NFL for Sunday. Before we get to those free picks, which Doug will lead us off, friendly reminder, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. Cost you absolutely nothing. We're up to close to 7,200 subscribers. So we'd like to thank each and every one of you that has subscribed, and all of you who view and chime in on a weekly basis. Remember, folks, we welcome your feedback. Just be nice. Be nice to your fellow listeners and viewers. Be nice to us. We'll be nice in return. Now, that doesn't mean we all have to agree, but there's a way to go about that without using vulgarity and belittling somebody and being demeaning. Anyway, Doug, give us your free winner.
I will. I just want to touch on one thing that you said, Ross, and one thing about live betting, and that is this, is that the one thing that to me, the most treacherous part about live betting is you go in, you see a line, okay, and you want to bet that number, and when you go to place the bet, which could be literally seconds later, a different number comes up, and that number can be can go, for example, from minus 120 to minus 150. And a lot of people just bet it because, well, you know what? I still like it. They talk themselves into it. Minus 120 to minus 150 is a big difference. Absolutely. When you lose.
Yep.
So that's my word of caution about live betting. If somebody wants to do it, that they should do it. Just do it the smart way, or learn to do it the smart way.
Well,
hopefully now, or go ahead.
Yes, putting that in perspective. I mean, it's a difference of going 2-1 and making $80, or going 2-1 and making just 50. It's a difference of between going 0-2 and losing $300 as compared to 240. It's a difference of going 1-1 and losing $30 as opposed to losing $20. So yeah, I mean, your point's well taken, Doug, and I'm glad you brought that up. In any event, what do you got, my friend? Give us a winner, Doug. We went 4-0 the last 2 weeks with our free pick videos, and Mr. Upstone's going to continue it with another NFL winner this week.
Well, we certainly got to give it our best shot. We got the Washington football team at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Washington football team feeling pretty good about themselves right now, Ross. Nice stretch, 3-0 straight up and against the spread. More like the team that many expected to start the season, okay, to be much stronger than what they have played to this point. They still only have a 5-6 record, but they've made some progress. The Raiders, though, might be on a little bit of an upswing themselves. They upset the Dallas Cowboys last week. That ended a 0-3 straight up and against the spread stretch for themselves. Now, in this one, the Raiders opened at -1.5, and they've been bumped up to 2.5. And for, in my opinion, primarily two reasons. First of all, the Raiders played on Thanksgiving, okay? And now they're home. Washington played this past Monday. They have to travel, and so the silver and black has more rest. The other aspect to this game is a quarterback, Derek Carr, in this season, in the 6 games the Raiders have won straight up, he has thrown for 300 or more yards in each game. In the games they lost, he has not. Okay, the former Washington Redskins, they come into this game ranked 30th against the pass. Now, here's my deal, though. I'm not sure that, whenever you feel good about the Raiders, this has been going on, I mean, for a long time. Whenever you've got a good feeling about them, they let you down. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a different perspective on this one. Washington, in my opinion, might not be sharp from the start. Okay. That would not surprise me in the least. So I'm going to take the first half line with Las Vegas at -1. And I'm going to back that up by telling you this. Teams that are off exactly 2 outright upsets and they have a losing record against the first half line, they are 2-11 against the spread most recently. So my free play for this week, Take the Las Vegas Raiders minus the 1 on the first half line over Washington.
There you go. Las Vegas -1 in the first half over Washington. I'll tell you one thing, Doug, before I get to my free play. I was an athlete growing up like yourself, and I was always undersized and always played with a chip on my shoulder. So I always had this affinity, I should say, for undersized players. I love Matt Corral from Ole Miss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, and I love Taylor Heineke. Now, that's not to say I'm going to bet Washington every game, but just from a fan's perspective, an undersized guy that went undrafted, there was a 4-star coming out of high school that opted to go to Old Dominion instead of anywhere else. Loyal kid, and he just plays with that fire and that passion, and doesn't have the strongest arm. He is fleet of foot, but he doesn't have 4.5 speed like a Lamar Jackson. Just the kid's a winner is what I'm trying to say. So keep an eye on him going forward. He's awful fun to watch. He was a backup quarterback heading into the season to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's not get carried away. Let's keep that in perspective. But in terms of getting an opportunity when it presents itself, he's done a fabulous job. I don't know if he's going to be a starting quarterback going forward after this year, but I can tell you this, he's going to earn a paycheck in the NFL for many years to come. So now let me get to my free pick. Now that I got that out of my way, it's the little guy syndrome, Doug. You got to bring it up when it comes to your mind. Anyway, Arizona at Chicago. Yeah, Arizona at Chicago. Doug's former hometown. He doesn't give any weather reports out of Chicago for a reason, folks. He's been in Arizona for a while, and I think there's obvious reasons why, especially in early December, why he doesn't give weather reports in Chicago, although I would appreciate one in this game anyway. Arizona is a 7.5-point favorite here. Now, Murray is listed as Kyler Murray, that is the quarterback of Arizona, is listed as questionable. But in my opinion, from looking at this line, I think this is an honest line, and I think it lends itself, and it's safe to assume that there's a good probability we're going to see Kyler Murray under center on Sunday, unless he suffers some kind of setback in his healing process. So the Chicago Bears come into this game, awful win, as ugly as it was, 16-14 on Thanksgiving Day over the hapless Detroit Lions. And they're now 4-7 on the year, and 2 of their wins have come against Detroit. The other 2 wins came against winning teams, though. So this is a team that's capable. And, not for nothing, we talk about how bad the NFC is this year. Chicago at 4-7, there's still only 1 game out of the final wild card spot in the NFC. And if you remember last year, they were in a similar situation, and they ended up being a wild card at 8-8. So I'm not suggesting it's going to happen again, but just keep that in mind. They've outgained their last 3 opponents, the Bears, despite going 1-2 in those games. And they've held all 3 of those opponents to less than 300 yards. I'm not suggesting if Kyler Murray's under center, they're going to do the same thing against Arizona. But my point being is when your defense is playing well, it can keep you in a lot of games, especially as a home underdog of better than a touchdown, which they are in a spot. Arizona 6-0 straight up in ATS on the road this year. Again, folks, that's impressive. They win by 16.8 points per game. But again, if you want to no-brain your way through the world in sports betting, you'll have no money along with that no-brain. And in terms of this game in particular, the Bears, by the way, since 2016, they're 6-2 against the spread as a home underdog of anywhere between 3.5 to 7.5 points, which they fall in that category. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Doug. I don't know if I'm not going to have the guts enough to call for an outright upset, but it wouldn't shock me in the least if that occurred. But I'm not going to get greedy. I'm going to take the 7.5 points here with the Chicago Bears and predict this game is going to be a lot closer than most people would think. And for the chagrin of Arizona Cardinal fans who really don't want to squirm through a game against the lowly Chicago Bears. Well, you're going to. Chicago plus 7.5 over Arizona. And Doug Upstone, he likes the Washington or the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. Easy for me to say, -1 in the first half against Washington. Doug, tell the folks how you've been doing of late, where they can find you, what you got going on, my friend.
Well, my top plays, Ross, continue to do extremely well in the NFL, 9-3 on the seasons for my best bets, and I'm going to have a 6-unit best bet, and that's at the Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports. So we'll have that going. Hey, Ross often talks about transparency, and I'm a big believer in it myself. And in some of the other sports, to be perfectly honest, I have had a tough stretch. Okay, it's going to happen, and so, but this week, getting some positive vibes, getting the feeling back again. So I've had some nice winners in the NBA, NHL, and college basketball. So I'm looking to continue to do that. And I am ready to go, Ross, for college football championship week. And I got some top plays. I believe it's going to be either 3 or 4 available at the Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports. So, hey, I'm looking for a big weekend, Ross.
Yeah, and when do you usually post those, Doug?
For the all football plays go out on Thursday, which is when we're filming this video at 6 Eastern time. And then, of course, then they're just available from there forward. And you can buy the weekly package or you can buy the individual day packages, whatever works best for you.
Doc Sports Service has been around forever and a day, folks. We're talking way back to, if I'm not mistaken, Doug, the 70s.
Yeah, and it's actually 50 years this year.
50 years this year. And
That's
that
correct.
speaks volumes, folks. That's longevity in a business where I see a lot of people come and go. And so is Doug over the 20 plus years we've been in this business. So hats off to Doc Sports, not only with Doug, a ton of great handicappers at that site. It's run very well. Scott Spreitzer does a nice job over there. Wade Moosman, the owner, does a terrific job. So again, check that out, folks. Doc Sports Service. That's docsports.com. You could find me at rbwins.com. And as Doug was alluding to, I was transparent when I went through a brutal October. Look, it happens. It doesn't come at the most opportune time of year because in our business, football season is the busiest time of year. So, but you know, like I told you people, and I promised you, I will rebound, and I will rebound in imperative way. And I certainly have done that, dominating way, I should say. I've won the last 10 days in a row. During that stretch, I've gone 25-9 on all picks in all sports. My NFL 8-2 the last 10, 5-1 last Sunday. I also cashed in on the under in the Washington-Seattle game on Monday night. So things are going well there. In college football, over the last 4 Saturdays, I've gone 18-6, including 4-1 last Saturday, and also 22-9 with my last 31 in college football overall, regardless of what day it is. So needless to say, I'm on a great run, folks. You need to get in because usually when I go on a torrid run like this, it's going to go 2 to 3 months. And right now, it's still the ground floor. You missed a little bit, but don't miss any more than that. rbwins.com, daily, weekly, monthly, annual packages. And if you don't see something that tailors your need or doesn't fit your needs, I'll tailor it so it does. If you want to call me direct, it's 781-571-0299. You'll talk to me only. I don't hire salespeople because they do nothing but screw things up. So you just have me to talk to. In any event, Doug, I'd like to wish you all the very best this coming weekend, pal. And
thank you. And I'm ready to go. And hey, right back at you. Let's kick some butt this weekend.
Yeah, and next week we could start talking about the college football bowl season. We have the college football conference championship games going on Friday and Saturday. Both myself and Doug will have a plethora of plays in that regard. And we'll also have some plays for you on Sunday in the NFL. Until the next time, folks, thanks for joining us. We'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless.